Hello everyone, I'm Aaron Pletz, and today I'm going to take you through building out an EKS cluster on Amazon and using Mission Control on top of that to go ahead and deploy and support Cassandra infrastructure. All right, lots of fun today. Let's go. As the topics in this video are fairly complicated, I thought it was important to have a prerequisite slide. In order to do a lot of the tasks that'll be shown in this video, you will need to have already installed and logged in and authenticated with each of these three, the AWS CLI, the EKSctl tool, and the kubectl tool. There are plenty of good resources out there on how to download and install all of these. I will say, though, that the EKS Control website actually does a really good job of taking you through how to use it and set up a basic cluster, as well as how to get started, how to install. So I highly recommend heading out to eksctl.io, and that'll help you get started with EKS Control really easily. All right, so we're going to start out by creating our cluster with EKS Control. You can just do EKS Control, create cluster, -n, and mine is going to be Aaron's -EKS-3. While we're at it, we're going to create a node group right away. So the node group name is going to be database for the database nodes. We're going to specify this in the US West 2 region. That's where we're deploying everything. The node type, for this we're going to be using T3X larges. That should get us a good cross of something that's, cost effective and gets us what we need. And we want to start with, in the database node group, we want at least 3 nodes here. So let's at least go with that. Oh, and we should go back here and also remember that we need to specify the volume size for each of the nodes, which, we're going to be conservative just for a demo cluster here and set at 100 gigabytes. Oh, I should have had a dash there between node and node type, or sorry, node and type. So let's arrow back to that, put a dash in. Okay. Hey, there you go. Cluster is creating. Now this is going to take, I've seen this take anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes before. So we're going to fast forward a little bit here. But on your side, don't be surprised if this takes a little bit of time. Okay, looks like it created. Now, we're going to want to create our other node group. We just created the database nodes along with the cluster. And in this case, let's go ahead and create the node group for the platform nodes. So again, we'll specify EKS Control, create node group -- cluster, Aaron's EKS3, -- region, US West 2, and we're going to name this platform nodes. And then we're going to specify, the node type. We're going to go with T3X larges again. We'll go with 2 of them. And we'll also set the node volume size of 100 gigabytes as well. That should be plenty for what we need. And then we'll also add in our SSH access key just in case we need that. All right, real quick here, let's adjust our IAM principal to make sure that it has access to, that it needs to for, Elastic Kubernetes admin. So we'll give it that policy. And then we'll review and we'll create. All right, so we have that user added on with access to our cluster. Oh, we're also going to want to make sure that we install the add-on for the Amazon EKS Pod Identity agent. Let's go ahead and click into that, or tick the box, and then we can scroll down and say next. And yep, that's what we want. And perfect, create. Okay, looking through our add-ons, we do have it. So one thing that we're going to want to do here is associate an OIDC provider. So we'll just go ahead and do EKS control utils associate IAM OIDC provider, specify our cluster name, with -- approve, specify the region, US West 2. All right, and that's good. All right, now what we're going to do is run a for loop in bash to, or ZSH, to go through each node from a kubectl get nodes. And we're actually going to specify our node group here. We're going to start with the database nodes. And what this is going to do is iterate through each node that comes back from that kubectl get nodes command. And it's going to set the Kubernetes label to mission control, datastax.com, role equals database. That's what we want. And now that we've got those three nodes labeled appropriately, now we also want to do the same for the platform nodes as well. Oh, and unfortunately, I ran that for the platform nodes, but named them with the database role. So let's run that one more time. And this time we'll set platform, and that should do it. Okay, so now all of our nodes have been labeled appropriately. Now, if you have a look at our node groups, you can see, yep, we have our node groups out there. And they do in fact have their minimum and desired sizes. Everything here looks pretty much good to go. Now we need to go ahead and set up our S3 buckets, and part of that is our S3 access policy. I have an S3 access policy JSON file here that I've used a couple of times before, and what I can do is to go ahead and run that in VI. And I'm just going to update the resource there to point to my EKS3 cluster. Oh, yep, VI caught me there a little bit. And yeah, we'll just change EKS2 to EKS3, and then that should be pointing at the right cluster. Now we'll go ahead and use the AWS CLI to go ahead and create the policy. And we're going to specify our file there, that JSON file, as our policy document. Oh, so that policy already exists. Okay. But for you, if you're going to go ahead and start from scratch, you will need to go ahead and do that. So the next step here is we're going to attach that policy to a role. Specifically, I want to add this to the Amazon EKS EBS CSI Driver role, which also corresponds to an add-on. So there we've gone ahead and attached that S3 access policy. All right, now we're going to go ahead and create our S3 buckets. So again, use the AWS CLI, use that S3 API command, create bucket. We'll name the bucket, exactly what we've named them up above under the resource list there, so that we have ds EKS errands EKS3 metrics, and we'll tie it to our region of US West 2. And then we'll also specify a location constraint for our bucket config, and we'll just specify US West 2. Oh, looks like I mistyped something up there. Oh, I need an extra dash in there for create bucket config. Okay. And then I spelled constraint wrong. Outstanding. Okay, this time it worked. All right, we need to create one more bucket, and that's going to be for our logs, because we have one bucket for our metrics, and then we need one more for logs as well. All right. Well, it looks like I created that with an extra S on there, but that's okay. I can worry about that later. Now, let's go ahead and get another add-on in there. So we'll do EKSctl create add-on, and this is going to be that AWS EBS CSI driver. And we want to make sure that we're adding it to our EKS3 cluster, errands EKS3, and specify the region of US West 2. And we're going to specify a specific service account role ARN, and what we're going to do here is kind of run a subcommand to get the caller identity of our account, output it as text, and make sure then we pipe that to role with Amazon EKS EBS CSI Driver role. And of course, we want to force that as well. Okay, so what this just did was to give our account inside of EKS that we're going to run our nodes as the ability to provision storage for them. We also, have to run that command that, just the IRSA, I guess, has been deprecated. So let's just run that command quick to, get things over as far as pod identity association is concerned there. All right, and let's rerun that with a -- approve on there. And we're done. All right, outstanding. In kubectl, I've done some work to set GP2 as my default storage class. I also have this YAML file called GP3 storage class YAML. So if I do a cat GP3, you can see what this is. Basically, creates like an ext4 type of a storage option there. And once I applied that file, I can do a kubectl get storage class, and you can see that we have both of them there. GP2 is the default, and then GP3 additionally. Okay, so with that complete, we should be ready to install DataStax Mission Control. Let's go ahead and run that install through KOTS. So we're going to do I want to say -n KOTS for the KOTS namespace. That's kind of important. We don't want our pods created from this command showing up in the default namespace. So let's try this. All right. With that complete, I can now enter a new password for the admin console. There we go. So that means the KOTS admin console is on its way up. Okay, so that process has completed. And it looks like we have access available to KOTS through localhost 8800. So let's copy that. So if we go new tab and we paste that, all right, here we go. So now I can enter the same password I put in before. All right, so the first thing KOTS is going to ask is for our mission control license file. You can get this from your, solution architect or, sales associate that you're working with. But for me, I actually have this stored locally here. Mission control license YAML. There we go. And I'll say open. All right, and upload. Okay, so now we're going to walk through setting up mission control. So I'm going to say that this is a control plane. So let's head into observability. Obviously, since we're on Amazon EKS and we just created our S3 buckets, we're going to go with S3 and compatible for our storage. For a region, it's going to be US West 2. Then we have to paste in our access key IDs and secret key to do that. Right. Next is our endpoint URL. And when using Amazon S3, this field should be set to s3.region, so US West 2.amazonaws.com. All right. Yeah, we'll allow insecure access on that. That's fine. We don't really need a whole lot more for observability metrics. Access additional configure. No. Let's see. Persistent volumes. Sure. That way it'll use the default storage class of GP2. Yeah. See, a lot of this observability stuff where you can and should definitely research more in terms of production. But just to show you as an example, we don't need a whole lot here. Static credentials are fine. So I'm just going to say plets at datastax.com. Let's go ahead and use this to create a hashed password from bcrypt. All right, let me paste that in, and then username, and we can just say Aaron. How about that? All right, and we don't need to worry about OpenShift, so we should just be able to say continue. Oh, okay. So we don't have Cert Manager installed. That is something that I will need to do quick. So Cert Manager is going to be necessary to allow Mission Control the ability to manage node-to-node SSL. So we're gonna go ahead and install that remotely with Helm. So let's use Helm repo add jetstack charts.stack.io force update. All right, we have the repo. Let's just make sure that we get the latest and greatest. All right, so now let's install with a specific Helm chart here. So we can say Helm install Cert Manager jet stack Cert dash manager namespace Cert manager. And if it doesn't exist, we'll do a create namespace. We'll use version v1.13.2, and we'll say set install CRDs. We want that to be true. Okay, so it looks like that completed successfully. Let's go ahead and rerun our pre-flight checks here. And if we did this right, the Cert Manager related failures should turn green. Oh, look at that. There we go. Outstanding. All right. And then let's just say deploy. So you can see Mission Control is actually deploying out here into our Kubernetes cluster. All right, currently deployed. We have our community license enabled, so we should be okay here. All right, Mission Control has a status of ready. All right, so with that running, we can actually have a look at what's running out there. Say kubectl get pods namespace, and we'll say mission-control, because Mission Control has its own namespace in our EKS cluster. And you can see, yep, we absolutely do have our Mission Control pods all running out here. So let's have a look at, let's do the same thing, but we'll say get service. Okay, so these are all of our Kubernetes services that are running. You'll notice that we have the Mission Control UI service here. That's available on, this IP, port 8080, but it's exposed externally on 3880. So let's work on getting to that. So one way that we can access this is to do a port forward on that service. So let's just go ahead and say kubectl. We'll say port dash forward, and we want to say service, and we're going to grab this Mission Control UI, and then we'll also provide our namespace, Mission Control. I better spell it right. We'll expose it on 8080. So let's do that. So now if I go and open up a new tab, say localhost 8080, there we go. And, I can say, yes, proceed to localhost. I don't care that I don't have an SSL certificate. Okay, so email address. I can say Aaron Pletz, datastax.com, and then I can say, all right, that works. And we can say accept. Okay, and just like that, we have DataStax Mission Control running on EKS. For more information on DataStax Mission Control, just head on out to datastax.com/products/mission control. There you can find all the information you need, including downloads and documentation. Thank you and have a great day.